Hello, everybody. My name's Jacob, and welcome to today's podcast. So, we're gonna get going on a little bit of a, deviation from what the next videos are gonna be about. Right now, I have to explain that I used to post, quote unquote, podcasts on this channel, and I would do them with my friend, or I would do them solo. But every single time I would try and do that, because I did that on multiple accounts, and I did multiple videos that I just quote unquote called podcasts. And it just never seemed to work. I never seemed to stick with it. And I think that's just because I gave myself a hard schedule, and I gave myself a hard deadline to where and when videos needed to be uploaded. But for this one, we're going to keep it on this channel because, I probably have, 50 channels floating around YouTube somewhere, going all the way back to when I think I was 12 years old. But 11 or 12 years old with my brother. Yeah, I think that's how old I was. But, so we're going to keep it on this one, and we're just going to call it a podcast. I'm not going to give it a name yet until if it becomes serious. And I'm not going to get and create a hard schedule to when I'm going to be uploading. I'm going to upload when I feel like uploading. That's not the best way to run a channel. I understand that. But this is something I like to do whenever I feel like doing it. So that's just what we're going to do. And maybe this way I can stick with it. Because, I don't know. Whenever I give myself a hard schedule and a hard due date to do something, I just don't like to do it. I work on whether I want to do something, and if I want to do it, I'll do it. So, this is how it's going to be working from now on. But, anyway, moving on from that, I guess this is the first podcast in this series of podcasts. I'm very sorry for the audio, because my mic is very, very, very good, and you're probably able to hear everything, because I just had a dog bark outside, and it was very quiet, but you're still probably going to be able to hear it. You can probably hear all the clicking and wetness in my mouth. I don't know how to get rid of that. So, I'm sorry. There's probably some hissing and buzzing going on. I tried my best to get rid of it. I turned off my light because I could hear a buzzing coming from that. You're probably going to hear all my deep breaths, or just any breath in general. So, this is not the best podcast out there. But, screw it. I don't care. I just don't care. It's what I like to do, so I'm going to do it. That's all there is to it. So, but with that out of the way, like I said, it's going to be the first one out of this series of podcasts, and today we're going to be talking about, the New York Giants of the NFL. New York Giants, my favorite team. They have been my team since I was very little. I remember watching them in the 2008 Super Bowl against the Patriots. It was the first Super Bowl they played against the Patriots. Sorry, that clicking was my phone going off. My brother is texting me right now. But, yeah, I watched the first Super Bowl with the Giants against the Patriots with my mom, my stepfather at the time, and me. And I really enjoyed watching the game, even though I had no idea what was going on. And from that point on, I just always called myself a Giants fan, even though I had no idea what football was or what the game was about. But as the time went on, I started getting more and more involved with the game. I started playing the game in school. Even out of school, I joined a youth league, and I started watching more. I started watching more intensely, and I finally understood how to play the game and what the game just generally was. So, after I knew what it was, my love for it blossomed. I live and breathe football. That's basically all I talk about. If you know me, that's what my friends and I talk about. We go out to the field at our high school and we play. And, it's something that I can enjoy with my friends, and just by myself, it's something I know that is going to be there. So unless it's the year 2020, and then I didn't know if it was going to be there. But, yeah, I love the game. So, and the New York Giants, like I said, I just grew up with them. So, I never deviated, even though these past few years I've really wanted to switch teams, but I am not a team hopper, and I never will be a team hopper. I am Big Blue through and through, so that's what we're going with. But today I wrote down a couple things I can touch on. I don't want to do it word for word, because that's what I did on my first podcast, and they just didn't seem genuine. And every other podcast I would listen to, I like to listen to the Joe Rogan one a lot. And they have like topics they touch on, but then they get into these full-on conversations that aren't scripted and everything like that. So that's what I want to do. But every single time I try and do that, I go and write up my topics, but I give myself a huge freaking list of words. So I'm just going to go with the bolded font I have here. So we're just going to do that right now. I think it was yesterday or the day before, Eli Manning had come out and given his thoughts on the Giants this offseason in an article from Sports Illustrated. I read the article. Dude, I love Eli Manning so freaking much. I'm so upset the way that our team, not like our team, but like our team's management, like treated him. They didn't treat him badly. They just didn't build the team around him. So he was screwed year on and year out because, you know, he had people to throw to, but like he didn't have anybody protecting him. So he was not mobile at all. He couldn't get out of the pocket. So whenever the lineman would burst through our horrible offensive line, he'd just be screwed. So, and now as soon as he's gone, we start building up the offensive line. We start building up our defense, you know, which is great. I'm really happy we're starting to get a solid team. But, you know, I really wish we could have done that back when Eli was our quarterback. And we wouldn't have had to have gone into drafting a new quarterback so early, or, you know, making Eli retire so early and not having him train our new QB, that being Daniel Jones. Now, I know Daniel Jones gets a lot of hate. And I'm going to admit, I was on the side of hate Daniel Jones as soon as he was drafted. I was like, why the hell did we take Daniel? Dwayne Haskins was on the board. Why didn't we take Dwayne Haskins? That was my entire thought process up until the year had started. And you know what? Dwayne Haskins doesn't even freaking play anymore. The dude is on the Steelers, the last time I checked, and he is not going to see play time. He sucked both years he was on the Redskins. I'm going to say the Redskins. I'm not saying the Washington football team. I don't care if you're offended by that. Please, I just don't care. So, he sucked each year he was on the Redskins. So, I'm very happy with the way we went, and we picked up Daniel, and I feel like he has the potential to become a really decent quarterback, like a top 15 quarterback. He's never, in my opinion, he's never going to be a top 5 or a top 3. It's just never going to happen. I don't think he has the raw athletic ability to be able to do it, but I think he can become a very decent and top 10, top 15 quarterback in the league. Like, you know, he can become a Teddy Bridgewater. He could become he could even become a Ben Roethlisberger, because Ben Roethlisberger, in my opinion, has never, ever, ever been a top 5. I will fight you to the death on that one. He has never been a top 5. He's a great QB. He's not a top 5 QB, in my opinion. So he could, in my opinion, Daniel could rise and become the next Big Ben. But that's completely off subject, which is kind of what I wanted to do, so I don't mind. But like what I was saying, Eli Manning just had an article released from Sports Illustrated, and Sports Illustrated asked him what he felt about the Giants in this offseason. I have the quote right here. It says, Eli said, "It's been great. They're obviously committed to turning this around. They feel great about a lot of positions where they are, and I think Coach Judge has done a great job. The fact that they are a young team and they've drafted well, have a lot of young guys that are growing with this program and under his leadership, I think they're headed in the right direction." You know, After free agency, I couldn't agree more. Free agency really surprised me because I'm on the Dave Gettleman hate train. I think Dave Gettleman has only made one correct decision in his entire tenure as the Giants GM, and that was drafting Saquon Barkley. And a lot of people did not agree with that because, usually drafting a running back so early in the draft is not what you're supposed to do. But, Saquon's a generational talent, and if he can stay healthy for, more than half a season or, a quarter of a season, he's going to be fantastic. But that's literally the only right move I've seen from Dave Gettleman, in my opinion, with him being our GM. But this free agency, he's really starting to change my mind. Because I was really peeved whenever we hired him and we took him back for the 2021 season. I really wanted to get rid of him because I honestly feel like he's what's been holding the team back. But he, completely proved me wrong by picking up free agents Kenny Golladay and Adoree Jackson. But to be completely honest, I don't believe that Dave Gettleman had much input in that at all. It was the team that went out and had dinners with Kenny and Adoree. It was Coach Judge that went out and had special and specific dinners with Kenny and Adoree. It's just New York made them feel welcome, and it wasn't Dave. I think Dave was just not saying no. So, thanks, Dave, for not saying no, but really thank you, Joe Judge, for, changing the mood of this team and changing the direction of the New York Giants. I really feel like he's going to be our next big coach because Tom Coughlin led this team to greatness, and I think Joe Judge is going to be the next Tom Coughlin for this team. And, I'm willing to say that. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because a lot of people didn't, whenever we hired the Patriots special teams coach, Joe Judge, everybody was like, oh my God, that's a stupid decision. I was like, yeah, I don't see him being a great head coach, but I see him being better than Pat Shurmur because, Pat Shurmur sucked ass. But, he's really blown my thoughts out of proportion. So I love Coach Judge and I love what he's doing with the team. But, the pickups we had in free agency being Kenny Golladay, every single Giants fan wanted Kenny Golladay. I think if you speak to a Giants fan, if you had spoken to a Giants fan right before we picked him up, they would have been like, yeah, we need Kenny. We don't have a wide receiver one. We don't have a starting wide receiver that we can count on and count on him being dependable day in and day out. And we just didn't. I mean, Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard are great players. Don't get me wrong. They're awesome. But they are not fit to lead the wide receiver position. I don't believe they are fit to lead that position as a whole. I just don't. They are great secondaries and they are great wide receiver twos. But Kenny Golladay, I feel, is what we need as a wide receiver leading that group of positions going forward. And, it's going to be interesting to see Daniel and his relationship on the field because Kenny really doesn't get separation from the ball very well. He's a very in-your-face offender, and he's a very, you can try and take the ball from me, but I'm going to catch it over you anyway. But that's what I love about Kenny, because he doesn't care if he's being covered. He's still going to take the freaking coverage, and he's going to make the play. But Daniel Jones throws to wide open people. He doesn't throw to people in single coverage, or he doesn't even throw to people in single coverage. I meant to say double coverage. And whenever he does throw in single coverage, he has very, very, very good likelihood that he's going to throw an interception. So that's going to be a matchup to look out for this upcoming season. And Adoree Jackson, though, dude, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't even know who the hell Adoree Jackson was before we picked him up. But I looked at some of his film, I looked at his stats, and he had the one injury. He didn't do fantastic his first year, I believe it was, but last year, or was it last year that he didn't play? I don't know. One year he had a fantastic year, and I feel like he's going to be a great addition to our secondary. Honestly, the New York Giants secondary is just looking fantastic coming forward. Now we have James Bradberry and Adoree Jackson on there. We had the addition last year of Xavier McKinney being up there. So, this is going to be awesome. I think the Giants defense is going to be top 5. At least top 5 next year with the addition of Adoree. And, the draft, we might pick up Micah Parsons, and, we might pick up Gregory Rousseau. So, our freaking defense is going to be stacked next year. And I'm very happy with that, because that's one of our major parts we've been missing out on the past couple of years. But since we picked up such a good defense during this free agency, and since we signed Leonard Williams to a long-term deal finally, because he freaking deserved it. I don't think he deserved as much money as he got, but you know what? He's going to be on the Giants for the next 4 years, so I'll take it. I'll take it. 11.5 sacks last year. You just can't go wrong with 11.5. It's nothing, Defensive Player of the Year worthy, but it's not Aaron Donald numbers and it's not TJ Watt numbers, but it's getting up there. So I have to give Leonard Williams that kind of credit. So I'm really happy he stepped up last year. But, what Eli Manning was saying, how we've picked up great players and all of them are young. Not all of them, but most of them are young. I agree with that a lot, because the Giants are building their team of the future. They're done with last generation. They're looking at becoming the next superpower in the league. And that's what we need. We've been rebuilding since 2012, and we didn't think we were going to have to rebuild after 2012 because we had just freaking beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But we did anyway, because everybody left the Giants after 2012, and then Tom Coughlin left the Giants, and then our general manager left the Giants. Michael Strahan retired. All the big names from that generation left or were retired, that made me a little upset. So we've been in a rebuild since around 2013-ish, after that year. But, these young players, I think, are going to be a great addition to the team going forward, and I'm very happy that we picked them up. But, going on to the first round draft that we have, I'm only focusing on our first round pick, number 11, for today. I think that's all I'm going to really focus on anyway. Our first round draft options, I've basically just, went with 5 different options right now I think are the best options, and one of them we're going to go with. We're going to go with one of them. It's either going to be Gregory Rousseau, who these are going to be. I'm going to list these in order of who I think we should draft first. I think we should draft Gregory Rousseau because, we don't really have a good edge rusher. We didn't have the greatest edge rusher, and, we didn't pick up Chase Young last year because we didn't tank good enough. We were so bad last year, we didn't even know how to tank correctly. 2020 Jets. But, anyway, so we didn't pick up Chase Young. We picked up Andrew Thomas, and, he had a promising end of the season, but his first half of the season freaking sucked. But, we need an edge rusher, and I think Gregory Rousseau is going to be a great guy. In 2019, he had 19.5 tackles for loss and 15.5 sacks. That, automatically puts him at top draft scenario for teams looking for defense already. So, that automatically shoots him all the way up there with 15.5 sacks last year. So, I'm definitely not going to be mad if we pick up Gregory. Next up, if we don't pick up Gregory, I say we pick up Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle from Northwestern. We need an offensive tackle. We just released Kevin. We don't need an offensive tackle. I mean, he could play either tackle position. He could play left or right tackle. But we just released Kevin Zeitler, and Slater could be lined up at either tackle or guard. But I feel like New York would mostly use him as a guard. And, Rashawn Slater isn't the biggest defensive lineman out there at 6'3", 315 pounds. Like, he's somewhat undersized for that position, but the dude gets off the ball insanely fast. Like, if you've seen his gameplay, oh my god, it's like freaking watching a wide receiver trying to get off the ball. But for a defensive lineman, he's that quick. He's the Tyreek Hill of the defense. Like, he's ridiculous. So Rashawn Slater would not be upset if we picked him up and put him in the guard position, because, we got rid of Kevin Zeitler, and Zeitler was a big part of that defense. So, there's that. At my third best option, I have Micah Parsons, linebacker from Penn State. First, we're just going to say, hey, let's reunite the Penn State buddies. Saquon, Micah, let's reunite them. Let's just do it. Micah Parsons ran an unofficial 40 time of 4.39, which is ridiculous for a linebacker. And with the state of the NFL being so speed-oriented recently, a fast linebacker is what we need. We really do need a fast linebacker. Since we focused on corners and safeties so much, we need to focus on the linebacker position. Even though Micah chose to opt out of the 2020 season, his numbers at his pro day shows exactly why he is ranked as high as he is. I would not be shocked if Parsons were able to play a role similar to Devin White in Tampa Bay, as Devin White played in Tampa Bay. Devin White was very versatile and able to play all over the field. I'm not going to be shocked if Parsons is that kind of guy. So, Parsons, I would be very happy with having him as our number 11 pick. Next up on the list, I have Jalen Waddle, wide receiver from Alabama. This is very optimistic if he's still on the board at number 11, because Jalen is arguably the best Alabama receiver that they've had in the last 3 years. Jalen was able to stand out on a roster that freaking included Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and Devontae Smith. Like, the dude made a name for himself next to Devontae Smith and Henry Ruggs. How good of a player do you need to be able to do something like that? Like, if he didn't miss the first or second half of this season, he honestly would have outplayed Devontae, in my opinion. So, if Jalen's not on the board and Devontae is, I'd be very happy with picking up Devontae. But if Devontae had been picked up and Jalen is still on the board, pick up Jalen Waddle. I wouldn't even be upset if we picked up Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith was still on the board. Jalen Waddle really proved himself last year. He's 5'10", so he would be the smallest receiver on the Giants. But his lack of size is completely made up by his ability to create separation and catch the ball. He's amazing after the catch. And, that mixed up with Kenny Galladay's never getting separated and, able to catch in under pressure, Jalen Waddle will get separated. He will not make the quarterback throw under pressure. So, him mixed with Kenny, it would be a great matchup, because if Daniel doesn't feel comfortable throwing to Kenny while he's under pressure, throw to Jalen. Throw to Jalen while he's freaking 20 yards away from the nearest defender. Like, I feel like that would be a great pickup for our wide receiver core. So, like I was saying, we don't have a strong wide receiver 1. I think Kenny can be it, but Jalen Waddle can also be a strong wide receiver 1. So, I don't know. I would be okay if we picked him up. I would be definitely okay. My last want for our number 11 first-round pick would be Patrick Surtain. I think that's how you say his last name. Patrick Surtain, he's a cornerback from Alabama. Corner. I didn't say quarter. I think that's what I said, corner. He's a corner. Given we already have Bradbury and we just picked up Jackson, Patrick would bring the secondary to easily top 3 in the league, if not the best. I already believe the secondary with what we have right now is top 5. I feel with the addition of Patrick, it would go to top 3 or top in the entire league. His ability to line up in man coverage and keep up with the defenders makes him work. It just makes it work, because the Giants have mostly played zone defenses these past few seasons. But as they create a defense that has more elite players, they may be more of an even split of man and zone. So, like, it's just the way he is able to work against these offenses. It's just, I don't know. Patrick is a talent you don't see very often come in at corner. He's not the most athletic, but his instinct and ability to make plays are maybe the best of the entire corner group in this draft. He has elite size. He comes at 6'2", 200 pounds. Like, pairing him along with fellow Bama teammate and current Giants safety Xavier McKinney, he's a beast! But, like I just said, we would pick him up and pair him with his old teammate Xavier. So, like, that would be awesome. They already have great chemistry. So that would help tremendously in that area. But with those two, the Giants could have a blend of established veterans and really young, good players to solidify this defense for many years to come. And that's what Eli was saying whenever he was asked during that article interview. He was saying that the group of young people, of young players we have on this team is going to lead us to success down the line. And I just couldn't agree more, because we're done with the veterans. We're just done with them. Because with our offensive scheme and our defensive scheme, they haven't been working. So we got to bring in new fresh talent, and we've got to train them to be as good, if not better, than the veterans. So I don't know. That's my insight as to what the Giants should do with their number 11 first round pick. I would have liked it more if we had the number 9 that the Eagles had that they traded away. I believe it was they traded away. But, we beat the Cowboys in the last game of the season, which, I always love beating the Cowboys. We haven't done that in a hot minute. I think it's been, 4 or 5 years since we beat the Cowboys. So, my father is a huge Cowboys fan, so I was able to text him up and, rub that in for the first time in years. So, that was fun. But, Doug Peterson's an asshole, and I'm so glad he got fired. I don't even want to start talking about the freaking Eagles-Redskins game, because that was just bull. That was complete and utter bull. But, what's been done is done, so we have the number 11, and, I'm very happy with the number 11. I think there will still be great talent available on the board, like I just listed, and I feel like we're going to have a good draft. If Dave Gettleman disappoints me again, and he's hired again, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I honestly feel like this is his make-or-break year as the general manager. And I say that just as I'm about ready to say, this is Daniel Jones' make-or-break year with the New York Giants. Because, like I said, I was on the Daniel hate train when we drafted him, but now I see some potential in him. I see some major potential. If we build a good offensive line around him and we give him good weapons, I think he's going to be a great quarterback. We gave him the weapons. Now we just need to draft and pick up the offensive line. So he really does not have an excuse coming into this year as to why he would not have a career season. So he doesn't really have an excuse. Like I said, this is his make or break year. If he has a horrible season, I can't defend him anymore. He needs to go. 3 years is plenty of time to get used to and acclimated to the game of the NFL. 3 years is plenty. So, you know what? If he doesn't do good this year, I'm going to have to bite my words that I've been saying for the past 2 seasons that he has potential. But you know what? Next year we might just have to draft a QB. So that just might be how it has to be. But, those are my 2 thoughts on the whole free agency and draft process that we had this year. So let me know what you guys thought, and let me know what you guys think of me doing these, I don't know, quote-unquote, like half-an-hour podcasts. Podcasts are usually longer than this, but, I'm solo, and I'm not really that interesting. So I just talk about what I want to talk about. And, I don't know. Thank you guys for watching. It means a lot to me, and I really hope you guys continue to listen in and just, talk with me. Let me know what you think about the Giants or what you think about any other team. Like I said, I live and breathe football. I will talk football with you no matter what your team is. So, shoot me down in the shoot something down in the comments, and I'll respond to you. So, thank you guys for listening again, and this has been Jacob on. We don't have a title, but this has been Jacob on this day's podcast. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Thank you.